Patthana Prakarana as a book of Abhidhamma Pitaka. We are going to discuss that how Patthana Prakarana is the seventh book of Abhidhamma Pitaka. The Dhammasangani gives an enumeration of all the Dhammas, classifying them under the Tik and Duk groups. Vibhang analyzes them to show what dhammas are contained in the major categories of the khandas, ayatanas, dhatus, etc. Dhatu Katha studies the relationship of the dhammas listed in the mathikas with each component of three major categories of the khandas, ayatanas and dhatus. Yamaka Prakarana resolves ambiguity in the internal and external relationship of each Dhamma. Patthana, forming the last book of Abhidhamma Pitaka, brings together all such relationship in a coordinated form to show that Dhammas do not exist as isolated entities, but they constitute a well-ordered system in which a smallest unit conditions the rest of it and is also being conditioned in return. The arrangement of this system is so very intricate, complicated, highly thorough and complete that it earns for the treatise the reputation of being deep, profound and unfathomable. The entire Patthana is devoted first to an inquiry into the 24 ways in which is Pachaya, two, secondly, into illustrating how in things material or mental, each kind of Pachaya and each group of Pachayas originate. Some of the Pachayas are Hetu, Arammana, Adhipati and so on. With the sole exception of Nibbana, which is absolute, there is nothing which is not in some sense relative, that is, which is not related to something else in one of the 24 ways. Mrs. Rhys Davids recommends the historian of Buddhist ideas and of logical and philosophical ideas in general to study the first part of the Tik Patthana, in which these 24 kinds of relationship are enumerated, calling it the one notable constructive contribution to the knowledge in Abhidhamma. She speaks rather skeptically about the value of this work of the pure scholasticism. Now we are going to discuss nature and place of Patthana Prakarana in Abhidhamma Pitaka. In dealing with the chronology of the 7 books of Abhidhamma Pitaka, that the order in which these books are enumerated can be interpreted as the order of chronology. Any attempt at establishing such an interpretation would be vitiated by the fact that the order of the enumeration is not in all cases the same. The order in which these are mentioned in the Milinda Pahiya and which has since become classical Dhammasangani, Vibhanga, Dhatu Katha, Puggalpayati, Kathavathu, Yamak and Patthana. However, a different order is found in the commentary of Digha Nikaya, Sumangal Vilasani, that is Dhammasangani, Dhatu Katha, Yamak and Patthana. It will be noticed that in this order, the Kathavathu stands 5th instead of 3rd, but the order of the text Patthana remains the same. Examining the chapter Pachayakar Vibhanga of the text Vibhanga, we find that Pachayas fall outside the scope of Dhammasangani and they form the subject matter of the Patthana. Though compared with the Patthana, Vibhanga treatment of the subject is crude and vague, which is to say earlier Considered in this light, the Vibhanga seems to stand out as a common presupposition of the both Dhammasangani and Patthana. According to BC law, the Puggal Panyati is the oldest book of Abhidhamma Pitaka because this text bears clear evidence of emergence from a Sutta background. According to him, the chronological order of Abhidhamma is like Puggal Panyati, Vibhanga, Dhammasangani, Dhatu Katha, Yamak, Pathan and Kathavathu. But Bharat Singh Upadhyay consider Vibhanga after the Dhammasangani. This discrepancy in the early tradition becomes confusing when it comes to our knowledge that on the one hand, Kathavathu quotes from the Dhammasangani, the Vibhanga and the Patthana, the first two and the last book of Abhidhamma, and on the other hand, it is given to understand that Yamaka, the sixth book of Abhidhamma, was compiled to clear up difficulties left by Kathavathu. Mrs. Rhys Davids is of the opinion that the Pathan may well have been compiled even entirely between the compilation of the first chapter and the 15th chapter of Kathavathu, because in the 15th chapter we find Pachayata Katha, which shows a familiarity with the same of the 24 types of relation Pachayas. This may seem to argue that the Pathan is after all not a later work. It can be asserted that in the third Buddhist council held at Patliputra, that is in 251 BC, the third Pitak must have taken some shape. The great bulk of Pathan also seems to have undergone a gradual evolution after the third council before it got the present form, though the cardinal philosophy of relation Pachaya is there in the Kathavathu. One thing is certain, that all the 7 books of Abhidhamma Pitaka were well known and very carefully, and especially in the Himalayan monastery when the Milinda Pahiya was composed in about the 1st century AD.